Do you want to learn the secrets of trading? The truth is, too many investors know the struggles of trading. Now let's find out what worked and what didn't with their personality, as these successful investors share their trading journey with us.
Hello and welcome to another edition of A Trader's Journey. Today we have Shawn from TraderTV Live joining us today. Shawn, how are you doing today?
I'm not doing too bad here on a Thursday. It's actually a really gorgeous day here in Toronto, so really excited to be on and feeling it right now as the market looks like it's heading a little southbound.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. We really appreciate it. Let's go ahead and dive right in. The first question I have for you is, how did you get started in trading?
Yeah, I wonder if this is much like many traders, but I saw an ad at my university on the job posting board, and I was graduating from Wilfrid Laurier University here in Waterloo, Ontario. And it was actually just a job posting for a prop firm, and I didn't actually know that much about trading. And of course, they don't teach it in school. And I think that this is one thing that I'm now passionate about, and that is education towards trading. And I think that during this job posting, I had no idea what it was. It was down in Toronto. I'm from Toronto. So I came down, checked it out. And the scary thing about it was, of course, I'd invested all of this time and all of this money into schooling. And what winds up happening is I find out that this prop firm, of course, is eat what you kill. And there's absolutely no base salary or anything like that. So that was a little bit of a shocker to me. I remember getting in trouble from my parents. Why would you even take an interview at a job that's not going to pay you anything? But the point was that I got there on the floor and my eyes kind of lit up. It was like nothing I had seen before, a trading floor. It was active. It was fun. People were pushing stocks around. Like, it was absolutely fantastic. And I was like, oh my God, like I got those little tingle feeling, on your arms there. And I was like, this is for me. Right. And so I able to do well on the interview. And I got a phone call and it was like, hey, we'd love to have you join our floor. And so I took that plunge with Day Trade the World, and it was a prop firm, and it was so exciting. I was able to have a bunch of mentors there as well around me. And I sat down there, had no idea what was going on, didn't even know what a bid was or what the ask was, what a level 2 was, chart reading, technical. I knew nothing, but it was fantastic because that's the advantage now that I realize when you're on a prop floor, Ryan, is that you get to learn from other people. And I think that really did help me in the beginning times, was learning from traders that were beside me and around me and just giving some of that advice. So I was able to take that all in. And maybe this was a foretelling, but I was able to make money my very first month, which was very, very unique because I was brought on with over 15 traders and only one of us, which happened to be me at that time, was able to make money in that first month. And only 2 out of the 15 made money, period, and stayed with the prop firm. So I feel really blessed and really excited to tell you that story, because I think there's a lot of traders that have a similar passion for the market, especially right now, and they don't really take the time to learn off of other people. And I think that I really did have that advantage with being on a prop floor.
I couldn't agree with you more. When I was younger and in school, I didn't learn about the market that way either. And I was always kind of intrigued. And it wasn't until I found someone that had more experience that I was able to learn from, that it really was like, oh my gosh, this is something that I want to do. So I totally understand. That's a great story. So what was your road to success like? Is there any one moment where you can look back and say, that's where it got started?
You know what? I mean, not to repeat myself again, but I really do think it was the fact that when I first saw the trading floor, and it was like a wow moment. It was unlike anything I've seen before. I mean, we can all watch the movies, Wall Street, whatnot. Yep. You see Boiler Room, and obviously, and then you realize it's really nothing like Boiler Room. But and I'm sure you can attest to that as well. But
absolutely,
and it was just like, and I think I have to say this over and over again, but you have to find what you're passionate about, whether or not that's going to be acting, whether or not that's going to be, an artist, or if you love singing or something like that. You really got to be involved into that particular trade, right? And I think that for me, I saw what was happening around me. And not only that, but my peers had very common interests in me. Like, we were all big sports fans, and we're all just, of that age. And when I got started, I was 22 or so years old. So just fresh out of university and just being around a lot of very similar peers. And I realized, hey, you know what? I don't want to be bossed around. I kind of want to be in control of my own destiny. And I did realize that through prop trading, It's your own ability that will give you that next step, right? I had a lot of friends that were applying for teller positions at banks and everything. And of course, they didn't want to be a teller, but the point was they had to move up the ladder, right? And I think that with trading, you control your own degree of, height. And that is that if you can succeed, then it's just a matter of building onto that. And then you can yourself, control the income level that you did have. So for me, to answer your question, what was that one moment? I just think it was the fact that I was like, wow, I can control my own destiny and do something that I love. And then the passion just started. It started to come. I started to take big hits, take big winners, and then really start to understand risk and fundamentals and the stock market. And that really helped me grow, not only as a trader, but then I stepped on with Day Trade the World as a manager. I started managing the floor. I started looking at risk parameters and helping them build the risk tools that were involved with that as well. I then was traveling all around the world with the company, opening up new partners and new offices around the world, including Moscow, Singapore, throughout China and whatnot, Hungary, throughout Canada here as well. So that was super fun for me. And I was able to do this all at the prime age, 24, 25, 26. So I really felt blessed to have all those opportunities.
That's an amazing story. And that really rings true with me because I was a teller at a bank prior to doing this. I thought the whole bank route was going to be good for me too. I thought that was a great way into finance. That's just really funny that you mentioned that. So speaking of success, I know in trading, success is normally bred from consistency. Right. So of all the skills required in order to be consistent, what was the hardest for you to obtain early in your trading years?
Right. Fantastic question. And I'm actually going to talk about blocking out the noise. And I said I did learn a lot from my peers, but that's different than what I'm going to talk about right now. And I think blocking out the noise is the fact that you got to stay focused in what you do best. And that is that if you're sitting beside other traders and you're like, oh man, I have this great short on and look at it go. And maybe you don't have it on and then you get that sort of FOMO kind of feeling. But if you're focused on fear of missing out, FOMO, I'm sure a lot of your viewers know that one, but if you're focused on what other people are doing around you, then you're not really going to be able to hone in on what you do best and build up the confidence and the strategies behind something that you feel is right for you. And I think that took me not overly long to do that, but when you're so fresh in the game, you do want to have everybody talking to you and trying to say, hey, this idea may work, that idea may work, and it's fantastic. And you take notes and you write them all down. But ultimately, if you're following somebody else, then it becomes a problem because what if they start getting cold or you can't just trail other traders. You have to, get into their mind and try to understand why did that person go long? Why are they looking at that stock? And then develop your own watch list, And I think that's something that our show, TraderTV.live, does a great job of. We provide our viewers with a free daily watch list. And to me, that's the number one thing for all traders is have a plan and know what you're looking at and know why you're looking at that. That's the one thing that I really had to learn early was just because I traded a stock yesterday doesn't mean that it will profile and trade the way I want it to today. So it's all about finding the advantages and finding where you yourself are best suited for.
That's an awesome answer because I tell people on a daily basis that some of the things that you need are a trade plan, and you should never compare yourself to another trader. Always try to be the best version of yourself every day. What a gratifying answer. I really appreciate that. So just taking that a step forward, what kind of trading are you doing now? And what would you say your favorite strategy is?
Okay, so my favorite strategy by far, and it's a pretty common one right now, and it's just the breakouts because right now you have so many symbols that are in the news. Yesterday we had SPI Energy. I mean, we can keep going back and forth. Kodak, some of these stocks are breaking up, even Apple, Facebook, things like that. Like when you get to sort of those levels where there's like immense supply and demand, it can either be the high of the day, the low of the day, or just key levels over a period of time, and they get tested, and then break. That's when I and on the show, it's really funny. I have this big stick that it's kind of like when you're in a carnival and you hit that and you see it ding, 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 and it goes up. I let the viewers know that, hey, we're taking out the big stick and we're going to hammer this position because, it's just the momentum. I mean, breakouts and momentum, kind of the same thing. if you're on the right side right now, and it hasn't been the greatest the last couple of weeks as we're talking about here mid-September, but as the market moves, especially with some of these pandemic names, some of the travel names and things like that, if you're on the right side, then you can enjoy, quite a large move that maybe wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for this particular market segment and market conditions that we have right now. So I'd say breakouts is like my number one strategy. My favorite strategy, though, really is kind of just looking at the opening and the closing auctions. I do like to look, and I show it on the show every day as well, open interest. So a lot of the time, I feel like we have an advantage using the platform here at Day Trade the World to look at the imbalance locators. And what that does is it gives you the opening and closing indicated imbalance on a particular name. So for example, if the TikTok deal got done, then you may see 1 million shares to buy at open for Oracle, something like that. Mm-hmm. So what I really like to do is show that to our viewers, have a look, and then try to analyze some of the data that's in front of us and really play off that, because I know that's something that we're privy to here, and that's a little bit of an edge. And I say it's my favorite because of that. I really like knowing that maybe I know something that the general public doesn't know, and that's the imbalance locator. So if anybody's interested in that, check that out.
Okay. And so speaking of taking out the big stick and hammering, what would you say your riskiest trading decision you ever made was? And can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Sure. Perfect. This leads right into a video that we just released on our Market Wisdom page. And it was actually shorting Tesla in front of 1,000. So it kept bouncing. And I'm not sure, Ryan, if you remember this or if you were looking at it, but it was the first time it got to $1,000. It was like that, wow, that huge like moment of, oh my God. And Tesla was running. It was like, I don't know, it was $300 at the beginning of the month. And it just kept tipping. You know how it goes parabolic anyways. Needless to say, it was so nerve-wracking because we kept shorting in front of 1,000, shorting. And the next thing you know, you have quite a big position on it. Like when I put in that stop order to get out of when it breaks through 1,000, is it going to get me out at 1,001, 2, 5, $10 higher? So you really had to analyze what kind of risk you wanted to put on for that particular trade. I tried it a bunch of times. I was getting in, getting out, so on and so forth. Then finally, and again, it's on our video, but you'll see it crashes down. It was, I must have been sure, I think it was 970 or 980, something like that. And in the last 10 minutes of the day or so, it just absolutely cratered down to about 900. And I wound up taking a $70 per share winner on the last bit of that trade. And for me, it's just, you get excited. Like when you put risk on and you have a plan and you're not sure if it's going to work, you sort of get those spidey senses. And I was like, you know what? I really think this is going to drop. And it's funny because my partner in crime here, Neil, was talking to me during the trade and was like, like it was $20 in the money. And I was like, I don't want to take this. I really feel this could collapse. And then it was $50 in the money. And finally, it absolutely cratered down to about $80 or $90 per share in the money on the Tesla trade. It went back up, back down. And then finally, I wound up getting out for that $70 winner. But I just remember that it was just such a risk on situation for me that I knew I had a plan of action. And that's the number one thing that I can tell all of the viewers right now is that you can put on shares and you can take as much risk as you want. But if you don't have that out, then, I mean, realistically, you're going to blow your account up more times than not. And I think that that's the one thing that I like to focus on. And that's what I've learned in my 18 years of trading is that if you don't have an end game plan, then you're going to get run over and you're going to be out of this game sooner than you entered it.
So that's really cool that you call them spidey senses. There are other people that call those butterflies. I think I'll go with the spidey senses. I like that a lot more.
Sensation, it's like you think something's going on. And as you said it the other day, it's funny because the Snowflake IPO didn't open while we're on the show. The show only goes from 9 to 12 and we kept talking about it. And then I just felt like, we're getting ready. You can see the indicated open. And then that just sort of gets you like a little bit psyched up because you're so excited that there's an opportunity in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you could go back to day one of your trading, what would you tell yourself? What advice would you give yourself?
So the advice is actually kind of go a little bit against how I kind of feel now based on where I am in my career. But I would say earlier on, I should have really taken more risk. Like I was really concerned about making sure that I was making the right trades. And sometimes you look back and you say, why did I only have 100 shares on that trade? Or why did I only have 1,000 shares on that trade, right? I wish that earlier on, I would have been able to identify the best times to put risk on, and I just think I would have been able to make a little bit more money in my earlier days, and just been able to evolve into a bigger trader than even I am now. If you take risk early and you get used to it, and you get used to having, as you put it, those butterflies, and you have risk on right now, then as long as the plan remains solid, you can actually have as many shares as you can stomach, literally, on that trade. It's just you have to be used to holding that many shares. And I think that, to answer your question, that's what's changed for me. Now I do have the ability to hold thousands and thousands of shares on a very volatile name, because I trust in my abilities, and I trust in what I've seen in the past to say, you know what, this is a risk on moment, and it deserves. And look, sometimes you get run over. I'm sure you know about that as well.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
We're in this business to take risk. And I really wish that I would have understood that a little bit earlier, to take more risk instead of being a little conservative. I still find myself to be very risk off. But when the time is there, you have to, it's kind of like poker, you get dealt those rockets and you have to push in. And that's just one of those things that I'm now realizing that now later in my life. Not that my trading career is anywhere near over, I hope, knock on wood, I guess. But I just wish I would have understood that a little bit earlier. And then maybe instead of flying in commercial planes, I'd be flying private.
Now, I love the poker comparison, because you're absolutely right. Sometimes you just need to know when you're actually going to shove and when you need to fold. And so that, to me, as someone that really likes poker, I really love that answer. And this actually dovetails nicely into my next question. How has your experience over time changed the way that you trade? Because there is no substitute for experience. So how has that shaped you as a trader?
Yeah, I was going to say, now that you've seen everything and I've been around for that many years, it's really just identifying and being patient, right? And I know it looks like a little crazy for those of you that watch the show. I'll take 100 fills, 100 trades in an hour, something like that, if I really do see something. So I am really a scalper, true and true. I love to take bigger share size for smaller winners. That's 100%. I tend to hold about 10% or so for that bigger move, but I'm a scalper through and through. But to answer your question, how have I evolved? I think the show has really changed me a little bit now that we're doing this, because not only do I have to put risk on, but I also have to describe everything that I'm doing to the viewers so that we can educate them, right? And I think that's, to me, one of the most important things about TraderTV.live is the fact that we're putting it on for free every day, but we're also educating our traders, right, and our viewers. And I'm trying to say, I'm going long on Microsoft because of this, right? And when you say things out loud, Ryan, you sort of get to say, hey, you know what? Maybe that's not the right thing to do. Like, when ideas are going in your head, you're bouncing it off and you can sort of take trades and justify it, right? But now you have what we call accountability. So now we have viewers that are following our trades every day, and they're saying, you know what? Why did he go long there? And I get back and forth, Twitter back and forth with me as well, asking me, why did you take that trade, right? It's at TraderTV Shawn, by the way. I'm sure we'll put the links in the description. But and I love answering those questions, because it's about educating. And I find that I'm educating myself every single day as well. And with Brendan and Neil on the trading desk with me, we bounce ideas off, and then you really get to see where the value is, right? And is it in breaking news? Is it why did you take that? Was there a tweet that just came out? Was there something that sparked that last trade? And then as you can talk about it with your viewers, you do realize, hey, wait a second, I need to put more risk on, or I need to take risk off of this trade, So a lot of the time it's just about justifying it. Like the other day, I was going long Tesla over and over and over again. And I kept seeing the viewers saying, man, this is a short day on Tesla. And I was like, yeah, you know what? This probably is a short day, but I kept fighting that long. And then as I kept discussing why I was going long, I realized, hey, you know what? I shouldn't be going long here. So I got out and was able to reverse that position. So that's part of learning and part of growing on the show. And as the show continues to grow, we really do value some of those opinions from the viewers. So I think that's how my trading has changed. And I said block out the noise, but it's more just about the ideas that are coming in. You have to make the trades yourself. Every single person is responsible for hitting the keys, but you have to size up accordingly and take the best trades.
So I could not agree with you more. That's spot on. So speaking of sizing up,
Sure.
are you still pushing the limits of your trading? Are you sizing up, or are you comfortable with your strategy and simply working it over like a rinse, wash, repeat type deal?
I mean, kind of, the answer is kind of in the question there. I'm never comfortable with my current position because you're always trying to get better. I mean, it's one of those things where you have to take risk to try to improve yourself every single day. And I just think that right now, am I share sizing up? Yes, actually, a matter of fact, right now I am using more shares than I probably have in the past. And it's just because I'm getting more comfortable hosting the show and putting on risk at the same time. So yes, I am getting more comfortable using more shares. And that's sort of just come naturally to me. I'm not adding a zero to my positions, but I am, maybe doubling them up when I get the right opportunity. But again, it has to be there. And right now in the market, we're in a little bit of a choppy zone. And this is what I want to just make perfectly clear to everybody. You have to trade the environment that you're in.
Absolutely.
And I mean, if you do have an opinion one way or the other, sure, put that trade on, but make sure that you're able to switch. And we've seen the last couple, even the last hour, sometimes some of these big cap NASDAQ stocks will move like 3, 4, 5% in an hour, 10% in a day. And Ryan, you've been around the block as well. We never used to see that. I mean, your blue chip stocks never used to move top to bottom 10% in a day. That's not supposed to happen. But guess what? It's happening now. We have the election. We have the pandemic. There's a lot, market used to be at all-time highs just a couple of weeks ago. So, you have all of those factors coming into play, as well as a bunch of new traders coming on board through Robinhood, through a lot of those other various brokerages. So there's a lot of new games being played, and you have to evolve. And I mean, that's your question. You have to evolve into the trader that you want to be, but that does take time. So I am learning some new strategies every single day. Just like we just talked about, that SPI Energy was $1 2 days ago. Yep. Then it gets this news that they're going into the EV space. And then it on a halt, it went up to $48 or something. That's ridiculous. I mean, those trades always are there, but it's adapting your style so that you're able to be profitable on something that maybe you've never traded before.
I really love that. I'm absolutely a lifelong learner. I'm a big proponent in trying to make yourself 2% better every day. And I could not agree with you more. The market environment changes. And if you're not ready to change with it, it can be very, very painful for you. Love that. Absolutely love that answer. Shawn, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate it. Your trader's journey is incredibly interesting. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and joining us today.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I'm just going to do a shameless plug here as well. I did want everyone to make sure that they can watch me live on TraderTV.live every single day with Neil Roberts and Brendan Wickens.
Thank you very much. He's Shawn for TraderTV Live. And remember, join us next time on A Trader's Journey.
Thank you, Ryan.